Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to What's the Topic Again podcast. I am your co host, Imaria Love, aka Mars on the internet.
And I'm your other co-host, Deborah Love.
And today we are going to be kind of discussing a pretty deep topic. I think some people probably have, like, even like surface level talked about this probably on social media and stuff like that, but we're going to be talking about the difference between sympathy versus empathy. And there are two different types of ways that how you can express these certain type of
Emotions.
emotions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And specifically we're just gonna more just do a deep dive like we normally would do for these stylized episodes because y'all seem to enjoy it. So we are willing to see a little bit more on this demographic of sympathy versus empathy. And
Yep.
yeah, we'll be right back after this little break. Put her spectacles on and she's ready for the road.
Yeah.
Oh, and side note as well, I want to say, this is probably the
Wow. Wake somebody up.
no, I would say the first time, in my opinion, for us for this whole podcast that we don't have our glasses on our face. We have contacts
And
now.
I have readers on.
Yeah.
So I can see. All right.
Right.
Here we go. The relationships with sympathy versus empathy. What's the difference? So when you're talking about sympathy, you're really looking at trying to understand that other person's emotion.
Mhm.
You're just trying to understand their feelings, how they're going through, what they're going through. You're just trying to understand it. You're showing them sympathy. On the other hand, we're talking about empathy.
You're trying to
We
put
feeling for
yourself in.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're trying to
you
put
putting
yourself in their
yourself in.
shoes.
Yeah,
That's
just
it.
trying to imagine how you would feel if you were in the same situation.
Right. So, with that
And
being
we're definitely going
said,
to put down the website where this came from
of
because
course,
this was done, at least updated on this website
this year,
on,
last year, my
yeah,
bad.
May of 2023.
Which is still early.
Yeah, and this is by Catherine Chan, MSc, BSc, PMP. So it's medically reviewed by the psychiatrist, Dr. Sabrina Romanoff. So we're going to basically just go from there. So which is better, empathy or sympathy? Are compassion and empathy the same thing? How to be more sympathetic and empathetic. If you notice with both of those words, when we talk about sympathy and empathy, you notice both of those words end with Pathy.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that is from the Greek.
Greek or
Hmm.
German? That's what I was trying to
It's
say.
Greek.
Mm-hmm.
It's from I know I've seen it earlier, but it's from a Greek word.
Mm-hmm.
At
Which,
least from,
as it always will be for certain type of
yeah,
words, either Latin or Greek, it's got to
right.
be one of them.
Right. So we often come across the words empathy and sympathy when talking about how we feel. However, sympathy involves understanding someone's emotion from our perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and empathy involves feeling their emotions from their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, although both words are used in situations that involve emotions, both of
Right.
them
Right.
does, they cannot be used interchangeably as they have different meanings.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
go ahead.
we talked about this earlier anyway. At least I told this to my mom. Of like, in certain situations, it's good to be sympathetic to somebody, but
Right.
also you can still be empathetic to somebody as well. It just depends on circumstance. You know what I mean?
Circumstance.
Because
Exactly.
certain things you don't need to put your involvement in or emotional 2 cents on it on every single situation. Sometimes you're like, okay, I get what you mean. I'll be here though, and you can bounce. And then excuse me, and then specifically with empathy, like friends, family, or even just a certain random stranger that you just see crying on the bench or
Right.
something,
Right.
and you like, what happened? You're trying to
Right.
understand that person in that
Right.
moment. Like
That's
what?
where empathy come in at.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the thing. So that's what I personally told my mom. I'm like, this is not like it's a power imbalance, if that makes any sense. For each word, it's more sense of for certain circumstances, it's good to use either or, in my opinion. Good or bad depends on your intent, but we're not going to talk about that.
Right. And then too, when you think about sympathy, a good analogy of it from reading this article was when you going in the section in a car store or the section say you go to Walmart and you go looking for a sympathy card because someone lost a loved one. So that's most of the time when we normally using showing sympathy is because someone lost someone that was close to them, be it a pet, be it a family member, a friend. So that's where the sympathy come in at.
Mm-hmm.
That's when that emotion is displayed towards that person when they lose someone. And just like you were stating earlier with empathy, it's more or less putting yourself in that person's shoes to trying to feel that emotion that they are going through at that
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, although both words are used in situations that involve emotions, they can be used interchangeably as they have different meanings. The main difference between sympathy and empathy is how we express and experience our emotions towards someone's situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see here. Okay, just like for instance, if someone, yeah, you can pull that up too.
Mm-hmm.
If someone
Just
is, yeah, you see how mine's cut that off.
mm-hmm. But it says on here, according to the American Psychology Association Dictionary of Physiology, Jesus,
Yeah, I wrote that on the back of here.
I'm going to say the definition of sympathy and empathy are as follows. Sympathy is feelings of concern or compassion resulting from an awareness of the suffering or sorrow of another. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then empathy is understanding a person from his or her frame of reference rather than one's own or what do you say that word?
Vicariously.
God, I'd never seen that word in my life. Experiencing that person's feelings, perception, and thoughts.
Yeah.
Just to give some reference on that, anyway.
So just like you're saying, when we're doing expressing our condolences to someone with a sympathy card, you aren't putting yourself in their position and imagining yourself struggling with their
No,
situation.
it's almost like a pat on the shoulder, being like, yeah, "I'll be here, B." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So it's possibly to have sympathy but not empathy.
Right.
Because as you go on social media, especially when someone lose a person close to them and they may post it out there on social media, then you see that outpouring of sympathy when people say sorry
Right.
for your loss, praying for you,
Now,
keep
some
you
of
in my
them it
prayer.
might be genuine, like actually like
Yeah,
genuine
but
concern.
that's
But
just
most of the time with social media, is quick response people to be like, you
yeah.
know,
But that's in almost always when someone's saying that, you can just start typing it up and boom, everything pops up for you to say. It already it's
yeah.
pre-scripted for you to just click on it and you amongst that group saying that you sorry for that individual's loss.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the fact that that's how our emotion responds to sympathy. As far as sympathy, when someone lose someone, we are sorry for it, but we still don't know what they're going through.
Right.
And that's the thing.
Because
Unless
some
you may
people,
have experienced it as
right?
far
Because
as losing something.
losing somebody like that, you got bunches of people that will either just move on with it, like nothing has happened,
Right,
and
right,
then you have other people more since spiral off of it that they can never really recover
right.
mentally. You got some people that's like it's like a mental toll, and they distance themselves from everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's so many like different outcomes for people, in my opinion. So that's where the empathy comes in, and like maybe check up on them. You know what I mean?
right,
To
right.
just make sure that they okay, because you don't really know.
Because most of the time, someone said, "Ooh, especially I'm sorry for your loss. I know how you feel." Even if you may have lost a loved one,
Hmm.
and it could be like
Close or not,
a father, mother, sister, brother. Even if you have lost that individual and someone else lose that loved one as well, still doesn't mean that you feel the same way that they feel,
Hmm.
because everybody emotions and, like you were saying, responses are different in
Right.
certain situations. Some people is not going to show no public emotion whatsoever, or
None.
may not show any emotion at all
Like I said, all of
about
them are like
losing.
scary sight to see
Right,
either way.
right.
It's
So
like, ugh.
everybody shows their emotions in a different way. And I know with me, and I can give you an example as far as losing my dad. And at that moment when my mom called me and told me that he passed away, I was more concerned about her
Yeah.
than what I was about myself.
Yeah.
With my feelings, I wanted to be strong for her. But
But
at the
so,
time of the service,
the greatest heroes
and
also have their weaknesses at
right,
time too. So
and
there
and,
you
and at
go.
the time of the service, it was like, okay, I'm holding it together. I'm holding it together. And then just a certain song came on, and this
It just
man
broke her
started
down.
singing, and that was it. And my
Yep.
mom tapped me on my shoulder, and she was like, come on, and they took me up out of there.
Hmm.
But it was just the fact that I dealt with it in my way,
Hmm.
but then having that, I guess, that realization of it happening and just going through it, because she broke down
I,
at the cemetery.
yeah, I broke down probably like several times, even like when she told me specifically, and
Right,
even after the service. Like I
right.
broke down when she first told me specifically because it was like almost a slow burn because
Yep,
she was
because
trying to ease it on
ease it
in.
into you, because it was the first loss that you've had of a
Hmm.
loved one that was that close to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, because her and
and
her granddaddy had a real good connection.
even though it was short, still though I took
Right,
that connection very close
right,
to me as a kid,
right.
and I, like she said specifically, I did cry at the cemetery. I was bawling.
We're
I'm talking about
balling.
snot. Eyes were
I'm like,
red.
I didn't know how to control that at that moment. I'm like, calm down, calm down. You're gonna make
You
yourself sick.
you see how, like,
Calm down.
women will weep specifically in a movie. That's exactly what that little old me did
Yeah,
specifically. It was that
yeah.
bad. And even afterwards, I would say it took me probably say I would say 2 years to even recover on him because even the mention of his name would make
It
me
would,
tear
yeah,
up.
it would definitely did.
And
So I made sure I didn't say anything about granddaddy to her or around her, because the
and
first time that I did, and you basically had an emotional breakdown again, I'm like, okay, then she ain't ready to discuss him, because that feeling is still there, as far as he's still
mhm,
here. You haven't accepted that he has passed on. So
yeah,
I I let her bring him up, because I know you
yeah.
saying you remember
I remember us.
almost like communicating with
Yeah,
him.
I was say saw it in my local church while I was like at a summer camp at my local church. That's what I was doing, and specifically, it was nap time because we were still elementary school kids. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool. So after like after lunch anyway, we like played a little bit. Then we took a nap, and then I really couldn't fall asleep, so I was like playing on my DS, and then I turned over and trying to like maybe doze off for a second, and then his presence came to me not once but twice specifically, and that was an earlier event. But specifically, he came to me in the church. I saw his silhouette and saying that everything will be okay, and then it's just almost like on the sense of like a let me go.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically after that, I would say it got better after that point. But the one before that, anyway, I told you I had a dream about him,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like almost me and him walking together. That's what that was, and it was like almost like just like a misty white, like how it would be
Right.
in the movies, like type
Right.
antics like that. But I would say a week after my granddad's passing, anyway, specifically I was as a kid depressed. I would say that because I really was sad in the classroom. I really didn't
Yeah.
have no motivation to even do anything. My teachers were concerned because it's like, is the household okay? You know what I mean? And it's like it's fine. It was just because I think one of my teachers called
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
and
And I
she
told
had
her
to
what had
explain
happened.
it,
Yeah.
and she was like, the teacher was very nice to me. It's like, do you need time specifically? You don't have to do your work or anything like that. If you're not really in the mood to do it, you could do it at another time to still get like a passing grade, and you'll be okay. I just sorry for your loss, and that's it. Just
Yeah.
some light. That's it. And it was very sweet of her to do so. And after that, I would say like I said, it did get better over time, but it definitely was a process for me as a kid. That's all I have to say.
And most people don't realize the effect that losing a grandparent is on a grandchild.
Yeah.
You know, because even though you were young, you were still connected to your granddaddy.
Mhm.
And that's, and our nicknames from him. My nickname from my dad is Ugly. So I'm ugly number one. and she was ugly number two.
Now, the reason why specifically that he nicknamed her ugly was more sense of since she was pretty is reverse psychology
And he
opposite.
didn't want that to go to my head.
Right.
So I know you're cute, but I'm gonna call you ugly.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
then it popped out a pretty
stuck.
child, and that's why ugly
It
number
stuck.
two exists.
So and he was the only person that, and I know when he called me by my nickname that he had given me, I'm like, sir,
Mm-hmm.
because if you call me anything else, I'm like, what's wrong? Because he never really called me Deborah. He always called me by
Because
the
it's more
nickname
sense
he's
it's
given
like,
me.
but it's anytime when a parent says like yo full government, it's like I'm in trouble.
Right, right. So, but I'm just recalling. I don't, in the beginning, when him and Mama got together, because he's actually my stepdad, but to me, in actuality, he taking the place over. He stepped in those father shoes, in which he was already there when my biological father passed
Yeah.
away when I was 11.
Yeah.
So he had been in my life that entire time up until my 30s. Well, my 40s.
Yeah, it
Because
was your 40s because I
my
was in
40s.
the picture obviously at a young age. So yeah, I was 40.
So up into my 40s, he was that present as far as father figure for me. So that it's always have been pops or daddy. So that's the way it's been. So it was just that presence was there, that he when yeah, I was Deborah in the beginning, but then when we knew that presence was going to be there, then he just started nicknaming all the kids. So all of us had our nickname. And it really was based on our personality.
Yeah.
I never did look at myself as being a beautiful person. I still don't look at myself as being a beautiful person today. I'm like, I look all right, So I look at myself in that aspect of it. But, just him giving us nicknames, and then I knowing that he loved me just like I was his own biological child. I wouldn't take nothing from it. I miss him all the time, just like I miss my biological dad all the time as well. It's just that loss, it
can affect
it never,
somebody.
but yeah, it affects you, but it never goes. It never goes away.
No, it would never.
You can still reminisce and think about some of the happy times or sad times you all had together, or how you all gotten through some challenges and obstacles or whatever in your life, and it would sadden you at times, or then other times it would just make you smile. So just keeping that person's memory alive. That's basically what I do. I mean, my dad been gone for over 40 years, but it still doesn't lighten the fact that he's not here anymore. It's still a loss. It's still something that you just deal with on a daily basis, because there was a loved one that you really cared about. That just to me, it was a young age for him to pass away at that time. But you do things, and we never. And if you're a biblical person, in the Bible, it states that you don't know your day or time.
No.
You don't know when you're gonna pass away. So you just live every day of your life to its fullest, because
you get one body,
right?
And
some people get second chances. I'm not gonna say some people don't flatline and don't come back. So you get your second chances.
Like I said, I believe in reincarnation too. Like when your time is done on this earth, at least in that vessel of that body anyway, I feel like it either like gets transferred either to nature or more sense into another vessel. You know what I mean? Either in an animal or at most another human. That's what I personally think about.
That's her belief.
That's my spiritual belief. Let's put it like that.
Okay, and we're gonna say okay. And it's nothing wrong with that. Basically, I mean, you can see some characteristics in nature, in animals, that's almost like human-like.
Right.
Like, because
no way.
This one that we got over here, I swear, right,
she gotta be.
She mixed. Talking back to me.
She gotta be either this dog may look white, but that is a black woman inside of that dog.
Because she give us some attitude. And you talking to her, and she, if I could translate and understand half of the stuff she's saying, I'd probably spank her with my shoe. She'd probably get a spanking. But yeah, I you can just see, I don't know. God, I say to me, God can speak to you through anything.
Hmm.
You know, it can be a TV show. It can be something. He can show you His sign through anything. So you just have to be open for it and just believe and know that.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, surface versus deep level understanding. Let's get
Let's
to
talk
this.
about that.
When we sympathize with someone's unfortunate situation, we feel bad for them.
Hmm.
We have thoughts and feelings about what they are going through, but we don't have a deep understanding of how they are feeling, like I
That's right.
stated
That's
earlier.
right. That's right.
Empathizing with someone's circumstances mean we are taking the time, effort, and mental space to fully appreciate and understand how they feel.
And I personally like that last one, the empathize type thing, because not a lot of people are willing to sit down and be like, just talk to me. You know what I mean?
Right,
And they just tell the whole story of what happened from how specifically, I saw this person and they final breath in the hospital or whatever situation like
right,
that. And specifically, just listen. You don't have to respond. Not one time. You can just nod and try to absorb of what's happening. Because there's a difference of trying to respond every 10 seconds because it's almost like, are you listening to what this person's saying? Or are you trying to like fill
put
in
your
empty,
input, put
yeah,
your
like, or are
input
you
in
trying to
on it.
fill in empty gaps in like dead
Right,
space when they're trying to like get through even a sentence? You know what I mean?
right,
So it's like sometimes it's just sitting there and just trying to listen and absorb it and trying to understand. That's already effort enough, in my opinion, to really let that sink in. You know what I mean? And
right,
even when it comes to not even like losing somebody, sometimes as well, because me and my mom do, at least my mom does this to me a lot, and even my dad does it as well, since they know I really do deal with depression and anxiety. It's when I do get into a dark space like that, it's like, who this child? Okay, what do I do? It's like, what do I do? And it comes to an understanding of like, do we let the child be alone, or do you let the child try to vent out what she's saying slowly? It may
right.
take hours, but maybe just let her try to speak it out into existence to maybe let some of that pressure off of her shoulders for a moment. You know what I mean?
And what I've learned too, because it's been a journey over the past 2 or 3 years since we really start talking about it,
Yeah.
and you really start telling us some things that we were missing as far as you going through it. I don't when I know that she's kind of like spiraling a little bit into that space, I don't let her leave my sight. I would rather her be in the room with me and let her know that I'm here for her, and then give her the opportunity to talk. And I just listen. I don't say nothing. If she wants to just cry and let it out, or just those emotions and things start coming out, whereas she's doing it, I'm just there for her, because I don't want to try to say that
She
even
understands
if I
what
even
goes
if
through
I
my head.
yeah, yeah, even if I put myself in your situation, because I've been in those states, but it's not like it's something that I battle and deal with all the time. I can say that I was depressed after a breakup with my first
Yeah,
boyfriend.
I
That's
wish.
probably the only time that I can remember even going through that type of emotion. At that time, never have set into that state again. I can other emotions have come along as far as
Like anxiety, like how I, not to a degree
to
that have
me,
have it, but more since I would say stress anxiety where you break out in highs. Yeah, that
yeah,
happens.
that had happened to me before,
And
because it was just the fact that I didn't like driving at night, and we had to come that long
well,
distance
it's
coming
not
from.
only that, but I'd say like other circumstances on that trip was definitely like already overwhelming too for you. Like when it came to that competition and everything like that, that
Yeah,
already was a mess and a half. But that's a different conversation. Anyway,
but then when you think about stuff like that, you just want to, even in those aspects, that's somebody's emotion,
yeah.
you know, um, and you can put yourself in someone's shoes when it come down to
With those
that
and like I would say
certain,
surface level, but I would say like more
yeah,
sense of that understanding of that type of
and just
anxiety.
listen to them, because I know when we were in Shreveport, and I didn't like to drive downtown
Downtown
because,
was dark and chaotic though. I can blame it on.
but it was just that. it was almost like I didn't want to. In my mind, I may go down a one way street and cars is honking at me and this and that. So it just took you being in competitions, me driving, and then just adjust to getting to it because
Mm-hmm.
I did used to break out in hives just thinking about I got to go downtown. I don't know how the traffic gonna be. I don't know these street names. I don't know how to navigate and get around. But then I did that. So
Yeah.
people didn't ask me to do that. They did show me empathy on that part. They didn't ask me to come downtown. I
No.
know we went downtown for your competition. It was almost like a circle.
Yeah.
Go over the bridge, make a right, make a
Did, did, did,
left,
did.
and then I'm there.
Uh-huh.
Come back,
Other
come back
direction.
around. Right. So I was good to go.
Yeah. And I just say going back to just like depression and stuff like that and be having anxiety. Get really bad social anxiety to a degree that is suffocating. That I
Yeah.
leads to a panic attack for me, especially if I do not like either remove myself or somebody drags me out of that situation. You know what I mean?
And I pay attention to when we in situations like that. So I do ask you a lot. Are you okay?
Because it's like unaudible noises. That's the thing. Because like I said, not a lot of people understand depression or anxieties, especially even if you have experienced it, you will never know that person individual experience it because it's
No,
like a spectrum.
because you don't know what triggers it.
Yeah, like it's a spectrum on what each of those like type of emotions can lead towards because different other types of forms too that I could probably list off, but I'm not gonna get too deep onto that because that'll
No.
be another topic for another time. But yeah, I would say like I just wanted to add my little notes on like empathizing with that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's all.
We're gonna go over this
Do you want
and
to take a break real quick?
no, no, we can do this and then we can take a break.
Okay.
So understanding from our versus their perspective. Sympathy means hearing someone's bad news, sharing our feelings about it, and saying sorry. That's basically what sympathy is.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry for your loss. When we practice empathy, we dive into the depth of their emotions and envision ourselves in their situation. It's not about how we feel about their experience, but rather we are putting ourselves in their shoes, pretending to go through what they're going through and feeling their feelings as
Mm-hmm.
far as that is concerned.
Specifically, for instance, if your friend tells you that their dog recently passed away, you sympathize by saying, I'm sorry for your loss. But if you were to empathize, you would imagine yourself losing a beloved pet and feel the grief and loss that comes with that experience.
Okay. And that's I mean, it's easy to understand those different ones, but you still have to know when to use it.
Well, here's the fun fact that you were
Yeah.
talking about earlier anyway. The words sympathy and empathy share the equal suffix pathy,
Pathy.
pathy,
Mm-hmm.
which originates from the Greek word pathos. Pathos is reference to emotions, feelings, and or passion.
Okay.
That's what that is.
Okay. So now we can take a break.
Okay. So after reading this a little bit, we're going to probably take a break, and we're gonna be right back. Shimmy dance, you shimmy. uh,
Judgment versus
okay.
non-judgment.
I'm
Okay.
just making sure that that big cutoff I got it right here. That's it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So sympathy involves a superficial understanding of someone's situation. Therefore, it is easy to pass judgment. Empathy allows a person to explore another person's thoughts and feelings, which helps them remove judgment.
Mm.
For instance, if your sibling mentions they are getting a divorce, you sympathize by saying, "That's terrible. It's going to be hard on my nephew. He's going to grow up in a broken home." An empathetic response would be, "Let me know if you want to talk about it. I'll be here for you through it all."
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to be judgmental um, in those situations for those people
Yeah.
because you really don't, especially when it comes down to sympathy, you really don't know how they feel.
No, you don't. You really don't at all. Because, like I said, people deal with certain things very different than what you would do. You would probably say, well, I would do this X, Y, and Z type of stuff, but you really won't
You
know
don't. You don't know.
until it actually happens to you or at most experience it to a degree or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
That again, that divorce or even a parent and parents separating,
Hmm.
that's hard on the child
Yeah, hard on
because
the
you
child
really
either
really have
way.
to pay
Young
attention to
or
that.
old, in my
Yeah,
opinion, it's hard either way.
have to pay attention to that. So really, you know, be more empathetic and try to put yourself in that person's shoes,
Hmm.
and just like they said, just be there for them because
Right,
sometimes a person just wants you to listen, and they could probably just talk through the process of
right,
their feelings
right.
and the situation. um
As we mentioned earlier, anyway.
yeah, yeah, because even with what we're going through right now,
Yeah.
you know um
Not a lot of people understand our circumstance
no,
at all. They
no,
will try, but it's like the trying. I don't think you need to try at this point. It's more since it's like, okay, what can I do to help or something like
right,
that, you know?
right. And I have more friends that tell me, just if you need to talk, just call me, and we can talk. So I have friends that I haven't called them yet, but I have texted a few to let them know as far as how I feel about certain things, and then they just there for me.
Hmm.
No judgment whatsoever. They just there for me, and I
Yeah,
appreciate that too.
yeah.
Thank you, sister. So, was it anything that I missed in that part?
No, it's this next part anyway that gets cut off at the second
Okay,
paragraph.
then you'll take that
Yeah,
part
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Unsolicited advice versus active listening.
But I think some of y'all need to really listen to this, especially on
Right.
social media days. No hate, but I'm just saying.
Sympathizing does not involve feeling someone's emotion. Therefore, when we hear about their problem, we immediately feel the urge to fix it because we pity them. We suppress our own emotions. We don't know exactly what they're going through, and it's easier to focus on the solution rather than validate their experiences.
Mm. All right. When we empathize with a close one, we connect deeply to their experience. We ask questions to understand, practice active listening, read their facial expressions and body language, and behave. I'm gonna say behave sensitively to their needs.
Okay. Okay. So it's still, like they're saying, you can't really say too much when someone has lost a loved one or lost
No.
someone close to them or a pet or something. You really can't say too much or
Yeah.
try to give them advice on how to get through things because everybody navigate through a loss in a
No.
different way.
In my opinion, like how it is for any situation, unless they ask for what direction, and you like probably give them like, if you personally, let me say this first, if you personally have a degree more sense of understanding a circumstance and try to like say for instance like, mama, I don't know about this new job that I'm about to get, I feel like I'm not going to be doing that great about it or anything like that, the sort, can you give me some advice about what they probably going to be asking me in the interview or something, like if I'm asking her specifically that question, I feel like the response will come to me if
Right.
since she has that experience, you know what I mean, but I
Right.
already know that. But if it's like complete stranger type of sense, or at most trying to understand, it's like, okay, I can probably give you some 2 cents and you can just use it from there.
Right.
But if I'm like saying for instance like asking a peer of mine that probably has never worked in their life and they try to give me their advice, I probably would take it with a grain of salt.
But then, they probably going off what they seen on TV,
That's what
what
I'm
they
saying. I'm
seen on
like, I would
social
take it with a
media.
grain of salt.
But then, they may know something,
Maybe,
especially if they
maybe had their own
talk to
friends.
another
I might
peer,
say maybe
yeah,
have
that's
their own
that
friends
have gone through
specifically.
that, and seen or heard them express how the job is.
But once
Because
again, that is your choice to absorb that in that information and use
yeah,
it. That's it. But
so you basically really want somebody who just gonna listen to you for
right.
the most part
Hmm.
when it come down to especially that empathy.
Right.
Because right now, my best friend, we've been friends since we were in the eighth and
Does
ninth
she know about
grade.
this podcast?
No, I haven't told her.
You should. And that's
I know.
rude that you have that we almost finished with this
I
season.
don't want
She
to
will
hear it
act
because she's gonna
she
already
go
act a total
kick you.
fool. Don't do it. Don't do it. But yeah, she really gonna act a fool. You just telling me now? She probably hang up on me. Like no, no, no. But she'll be understanding. We've been friends all this time. She
We
loves
go
me.
see.
She loves me. We'll see. I'll tell her this weekend.
Oh Lord, pray for her. Oh my God,
Yeah,
Jesus.
pray for me. I'll tell her this weekend. Yep.
Okay, so the topic got cut off, but specifically, what does it say?
Which is better, empathy or sympathy?
That whole section got cut off.
Okay.
This whole section got cut.
I don't know. It looked like it was coming down on this page, but then
Mhm.
it was ads and stuff in there, so
Oh,
that's the
okay,
reason
okay,
why
okay.
it did that.
Okay. Anyway, specifically, which is better though, empathy or sympathy? As I mentioned earlier in this podcast, neither are better, which is what exactly they said on here. It depends on context, like I said earlier, and knowing when to use empathy or sympathy. Once again, like I said earlier, both empathy and sympathy are needed for emotional and mental well-being.
Yeah.
So that's just in my opinion. And
You want somebody to show you
yep.
empathy or sympathy.
Mhm.
You know, you don't want to basically try to navigate. Some people don't have other choice but to navigate on their own, and then you holding some of those emotions inside, and you carrying that weight on your own, and you don't know what may happen where those emotions may just come out,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and may come out in the wrong way.
Mhm.
So that's why they have support groups and this and that, because
I'm
you
gonna
got
say
those support groups is not judgmental.
Support
They're gonna
groups.
be
You
there to
got
listen.
therapy, therapists, and you want to talk to
Right.
somebody else as a complete stranger, and you want to create a
Right.
bond with them or whatever, you can do so.
Yep.
And even sometimes, like as mentioned before, talking to family and friends that are willing to listen
Yeah.
to you, you can do that. You know.
Yep. And I do have family members that listen
Yeah.
and not say anything. Just be that ear for me.
Okay, so when to show empathy, so you can start.
Okay, so empathy is essential for building deep and meaningful relationships with others. If you are unable to understand another person's perspective, it can be challenging to effectively communicate and problem solve together. For instance, if you and your partner are fighting, it can be difficult to resolve the conflict if you are unable to empathize with their point of view. Instead of working as a team toward a solution, you focus on trying to convince the other that you're right, which creates a bigger divide in the relationship.
Yeah, which is very true. It's true. It's true.
Sometimes I really want to be right.
Yeah, I'm like, it's true.
I want to be right a lot of times.
Like, it's true. It's not like I'm saying I'm not the same way, but that's a pretty bird anyway.
But I have to, like I said, you know, with my husband, we've been together for 30 years. So we're going to agree and we're going to disagree.
Yeah.
And it's going to be times that he's going to be right, and it's going to be a lot of times that I'm right.
Ting. But he gonna really be like, you said that. That's exactly what he's gonna say. But yeah, it's not. He
probably say, you think you're right all the time, but you don't want to listen. You don't want to listen.
But the thing is, it's not like he does not. Because I would definitely say, probably in his early stages, definitely took him a process to say, hey, I did this wrong. I said this wrong. You know, because right. I don't think I don't personally know it because I didn't exist, but specifically, like early stages, maybe it was kind of difficult to probably express that in the beginning. Maybe I don't know.
That as far as being wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. I guess in our early part of our relationship, we had to get to know each other.
Right.
And you get to know what things
who that individual
say,
is.
What things that you say to that person that probably will hurt their feelings, and then if they start acting a different way, then you put yourself in their shoes and think, oh, I probably couldn't have said that. Yeah. So yeah, early on he did. He would come back and apologize.
Yeah.
So he understood, because he didn't want me to be upset with him. Number one. And we really, to say that we've been together for 30 years, you have to put some time and effort into a relationship in order to be together for that long period of time. So, yeah, we definitely
say when they both upset, though, it's like more sense. It's like thunder and like just a pouring rainstorm over there. It's like, ain't no stopping that. And it's like, okay, when the storm gonna end? What's the forecast today? You know what I mean? It's like,
But that just hey,
but obviously, after when the rain pours, you get, a sunny
you
day
just
the
give
next
yourself
day.
your space.
Yeah.
Give the individual their space. And just you have to step away to
Mhm.
give yourself each other an opportunity to
Mhm.
absorb what happened.
Mhm.
Because most of the time, when you just constantly talking,
I'm
it's just
like,
like
it's just
my
noise at
point
this point,
over your point, or my point over your
Like I
point.
said, just like
You know,
noise at this
yeah,
point.
you're not paying any attention to what the other individual is saying.
Yeah.
So once, because sometimes it may take a day or two,
Yeah.
and then we come back around and we say something. Other than that, I'm gonna say something to each other. Just say something about that particular topic.
Hmm. And
So
I'll say this for sure with y'all, as far as I have seen anyway, specifically, the best time that y'all really resolve stuff, which in my opinion is like, to a degree, a healthy bit in y'all's relationship, is y'all sit down and talk in private. And sometimes that is good to do, in my opinion, in a relationship, to like maybe understand the other person, how they felt in that moment,
yeah,
to apologize or whatever in
yeah,
what they said in that moment, or either on one end or both ends or whatever.
yeah.
And in my opinion, that's always like a smooth foundation on communication sometimes, even if it does take a minute, you know what I mean,
Right.
to even have like have that argument. It's like, what the heck just happened? I feel like I got whiplash.
It wasn't even the thing about it. Sometimes it should have never been an argument.
Yeah.
It's like it should have never just gotten that far. It's just that somebody's going to have to. It's got to be a communication. It's not. I'm gonna say communication. It's
Agreement.
well, not even an agreement. It's just gonna. Both of you are gonna have to understand. Well, it's got to be a balance. That's
Mhm.
basically what it is. It's
Mhm.
gonna have to be a balance as to sometimes some people give in, but it may they may be right,
Mhm.
and other times when some people just give in just to keep everything going,
Mhm.
but you're not happy.
Right.
So it's best to go ahead on and just let that emotion come out so they can understand how you feel, and then they can put themselves in your shoes,
Yeah.
especially when it come down to it's going to be empathy at that
Mhm.
particular time,
Mhm.
and because my emotion is overflowing and I'm telling you, so I just want you to listen to me at this moment.
Mhm.
Put yourself in my shoes, look at it from my perspective, and then let's see how we can move forward
Mhm.
with it. So, but and that's
I'm
I
like,
think
not this
as
turn
far
to a
as
relationship
right,
advice podcast.
but I'm just saying with us, that's basically
Yeah.
how everything has worked out for us
Yeah.
over the years. And it'd be like, oh, okay, then did I say that? I don't remember saying it because you more or less wanted to get your point across and not listen to what I'm saying, or I more or less want to get my point across and not listen to what you're saying. So yeah, we do have to just balance it out to the point of because we don't get to cursing, screaming, blah,
No,
blah, this and that type
throwing
of
stuff.
situation.
It
Yeah,
never got
stuff like
that
that.
far
Yeah,
ever,
it's
even in
just
my
that because
lifespan.
it's almost because both of us like peace,
Yeah.
and I'd rather have some peace in my life so I can go to sleep at night than
And not
to
be angry, tearing up, and
right
balling fists while
than to
you're
be
sleeping.
heated with somebody and I can't sleep. I'm probably thinking about some other some wrong things,
Hmm.
instead
Which
of
is
trying
all in the
to
devil's work right there.
right relax and go to sleep. So yeah, we work things out, and then
Hmm.
we have a good friends and stuff too. So we good.
Hmm.
Want to take a break?
Yeah, we can specifically then finish out this last little bit, then take another break.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're gonna take a little break, and then we'll be right back. Okay. You stopped at empathy, fatigue,
Empathy fatigue.
fatigue. Okay.
Okay. So, however, empathy fatigue can occur if you are overly concerned and constantly feel the feelings of others. Your energy becomes depleted and you may feel numb, burnt out, powerless, and less compassionate. You are at an increased risk of empathetic distress. Wow.
I've been there
And
before
you know
though.
there's a thing called empathy because you putting the weight of the world on your shoulders. You
Yeah.
just taking everybody's feelings in.
Yeah.
And
I've been there before because of all-star cheerleading. That's the thing. Because I feel like more since I really got like I'll say the slow underturn on these undertones of me trying to like help out other people, and not helping myself at
right,
all in the certain
right,
situations. And then I would say around 2020 was definitely for sure for me the downfall. And when I felt like I was getting burnt out, like completely burnt out and just numb, and like I really, and like I said, it just sat with myself. I'm like, what is the point of me doing this anymore? What was my purpose? Like how it was in the beginning, it
right.
was just so many questions, and then in
Because
case,
cheer was your life in the beginning. That's
yeah,
what you told me.
I'm like, but then in the beginning anyway, it was just something new, and something new for me was something exciting all over
Exactly.
again. So that's all
Exactly.
that was. And then obviously, you make friendships along the way and stuff like that. Or more sense, like you make friendships with whatever you do. Either some of them can be long term, and others can be just for that period of time. And then specifically, you try to help out your teammates, help out the person that's in that tumbling class that's kind of struggling, that you only meet like once a week. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just in general, trying to just help them, help them, help them. You might be helping yourself a little bit, but that little bit could turn into I see them succeeding more than me.
Right. And
And
that's
it's
what
like
happened.
and it's like really sunk in. It's like, what is my purpose on like being on the same level for like 4 years straight? You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like
I
I
did
lost
see that happen.
I lost motivation completely. I was like, I feel I'm done,
Right.
And even though that was supposed to be my last year, 2019, 2020, anyway, because I really wanted to focus on my studies to like all the way from my sophomore, no,
Yes, right.
okay, sophomore year all the
Mm-hmm.
way to like my senior year. That's all I wanted to do, and really just put like time focus on that. Probably would get a second job on top of like the other. That was my plan. That was my plan. That was not God's plan, but that was my plan.
We got a lot of plans. That's not his plan. So we need to make sure when we have our little dreams in our head about how life is going to be for us that we put him in charge of it.
Yeah, but I'll say that I felt that before, and it's not a good feeling at all. And it really like maybe like, what is my purpose? You know what I mean? That's how I felt like to personally. But
It
anyway,
almost seemed like you were motivational for other people, but you didn't give yourself that same motivation.
yeah, it was definitely, like I said, a tough place. But anyway,
Yeah. When to show sympathy. In the age of mobile phones and social media, we are bombarded, just like I was saying earlier, bombarded with distressing news at our fingertips. It's
hmm
easy to become overwhelmed by what's happening in the world. So, sympathy allows us to learn and stay informed about global issues without being emotionally consumed.
yeah, I'll say like Twitter and probably Reddit is probably like the top two. I'll say that for sure. Like I will get a notification on Reddit, and I forget I'm even logged onto there sometimes,
Right.
and I'm like, what news about this about politics? I didn't even subscribe to this site.
But then you have people that really just that that global news can be so overwhelming because so many things as far as wars and
Yeah.
bombings and deaths and stuff all around the world,
Mhm.
that can be such a big emotional thing for some people,
Yeah.
and they don't watch the news that much.
No. I mean, we consume the news specifically from time to time, but I know
Time to time, but I'm
it's
not
not like it's an everyday thing.
that
Like we
that
wake up in the
yeah.
morning, we watch CNN or something. It's not
Yeah,
like
then
that.
you're watching the morning news, you're watching the afternoon news, you're watching the evening news, and if you're up late at night, then you're watching the late night news and this and that.
That's too
That
much.
is just too much. That's too
That'll
much.
mess up your brain, to be honest with you, after a period of time. Anyway, last sentence before we try to wrap this up. Anyway, of our final thoughts. Sympathy has been shown to be associated with these mortal and pro-social behaviors such as co- cooperation, sharing, low discrimination. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
supporting, helping, and protecting others.
So sympathy has been shown to be associated with moral and
Pro-social.
pro-social behaviors. Okay. Hmm.
Just food for thought.
I
Food
can see
for thought.
that. I can see that. Yeah.
But specifically, just to wrap this little tidbit up, because I know we're running a little bit over time. But specifically,
Not really.
I would say, as I mentioned earlier in this podcast, it's not like one thing is bad and one thing is good. You can use sympathy and empathy in any circumstance. It just depends on how you use it and when to use it. That's all that is. And specifically, in my opinion, it's good to empathize with people, but you don't need to do it all the time because it can drain your energy, as mentioned up in there as well, because it can lead to burnout and stuff like that, as I
Yeah.
have experienced.
Right.
And specifically, in my opinion, sympathize with someone might be a quick resolve, but sometimes, you don't need to do that like every second. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like I said, sometimes it is good to be like, I'm sorry for your loss, just to really just put that out there. That's all I'm gonna
Right.
say. Any
Right.
final notes, Mama?
Just really, just like you're saying, just to piggyback on what you're saying, just remember when you sympathizing with somebody, you basically understanding that person's emotion, understanding their emotion. And when you're showing empathy, you feeling basically that emotion. You feeling them. You putting yourself in their shoes. So the crazy part about this, when we say we was going to do the discussion, if she wrote down our
The titles
podcast
of the
titles last year,
yeah.
and I was at work, and it was one of the trainings that we did. It was like a 10-20 minute training, self training.
What's the idea of that? Explain it.
It was sympathy versus empathy, and we had to do that at the job because some people are on the phones and they're talking to people about their taxes and stuff, and you really have to empathize with what they're going through. I mean, that emotion, if they yelling and screaming and cursing and this and that, it's not about you. It's about what they're doing at that time. And you, that individual on that phone, getting that. So they had to bring that up and let them know, don't take it personally. Just put yourself in that individual's space to understand and just get through that call with them. That's even with me having to handle things with them because I'm not on the phones, but still I had to understand what they're saying and try to get the resource and the information back to them as quickly as possible. And then that way we can go ahead on and get them off the phone and they can just help the other person. So they really appreciate it. So I don't know how many people I done help or how many situations. I know for sure, probably about 300. I know that for sure, about 300. If not, I know for sure maybe over 300 because it's over 300.
I'm like, you got years on your life, you put your 2 cents probably with some people, you know what I mean?
I try to make people feel happy.
Yeah,
How your day going? How you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Just starting that off with them to kind of like break the ice before I ask them how can I, once they already tell me how can I assist them anyway. It's just the fact that I rephrase it in my own words just to make sure that I'm understanding what they come to me for, and then I'll start grabbing it and trying to assist them in getting it done.
Yeah, I definitely would say I would agree with that as well. But yeah, we're gonna take another break and we will end the podcast episode. Alrighty, folks, if you have enjoyed this podcast episode, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also on YouTube of the audio version. And specifically, you can go to our website, www.whatsthetopicagain.com. We have blog posts on there. Hopefully, we will update it soon because it needs to be updated real bad. And specifically,
we do need to do that.
we need to update it.
Yeah.
And specifically, I would say this is the second to last episode before we end this season. Not saying we ain't gonna be coming back, because we're gonna be coming back big and strong.
We're coming back. Yep.
New set, hopefully a lot of new things, hopefully a lot more different topics to talk about.
Yep.
And once again, like I said, it's not like we're gonna be completely gone off of this page. Shorts will be posted up on here, and also like special episodes, either like dedicated to certain topics,
right?
That is like long form type of stuff that just we didn't feel like it could either be incorporated into like the podcast
Part one,
season.
part two, part three.
Yeah. And just, we gonna keep y'all updated, and of course whenever a date will be settled for season 2, we will definitely let y'all know first. YouTube fan will know first, and trust me, if you go to our blog page, hopefully we'll create like a newsletter outlet, hopefully probably one day, and you can like, we won't be spammed, but you can like probably just get some newsletters and updates about like what has happened each month or something.
Yeah, you don't want to, exactly.
Yeah, like each month or something.
You don't want to overload nobody with anything
that's
like
all,
that.
That's probably eventually what we're going to do soon.
I got something to tell them.
Okay, what you got?
I just had a birthday.
Woo, yay! She turned a year older.
A year old, that's all we're going to say.
Yeah. We did
another chapter.
That's all. That is, our birthday was last week, as specifically when this is posted.
Right.
But as we're recording this, it happened this week. So she had a good birthday. She had good gifts. The pictures on screen. She got a microphone. She annoying me the crap out of me.
You had the microphone. Or don't say I annoy
said
you.
For like 2 times. You probably used it 5 or 6 times after when you bought it.
This is my microphone. That's what I got for my birthday gift. I love it. I love it.
She got 2 purses. What else she got? Yeah, I made you a cake. I'm gonna say I made
a cake. Yep.
I didn't take no picture of the cake. That made me so sad.
Made my favorite meal. I ain't take no picture, no food, no nothing either.
No, but it's always the thought that it was always treasure in your head. That's
exactly.
I will. That's how it should be.
I will. Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Everything don't have to be shared on social media.
No, but it's a good thing to like have that memory shared with the people that you care about most.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. Hopefully you'll have a very blessed and good rest of y'all week anyway, and we will see you guys next week for the final episode of the podcast. Bye bye.